Picture the last dinner you sat at. People you know, probably people you love. And somewhere between the food and the conversation, you were gone. Not on your phone, not visibly distracted, just somewhere else. Or maybe it was at night, lying next to someone you'd die for, and feeling completely alone. What I'm about to say is going to sound like it's about a movie. It's not. In 1999, a film predicted something. Not machines, not artificial intelligence. The quiet disappearance of real human connection, and the slow replacement of it with something that only looks like living. If you know that feeling, this video is for you. You are performing right now. You have been performing all day. There is the version of you that showed up to work, the version that answered the texts, the version that said, "I'm good," when someone asked, the version that knows exactly how to appear okay. And then there is whoever is watching this right now, in the quiet, when the performance is finally over, when nobody needs anything from you. Who are you when no one is watching? Because most men are living two lives, the one everyone can see, and the one they carry completely alone. And the strangest part is that you can be surrounded by people who love you and still feel completely invisible. You can lay beside someone you love and feel 1,000 miles away. You can spend your entire life being admired without ever once feeling truly known. Modern loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of being truly known. And here's the part that should bother you. Most men haven't been emotionally honest in years, not because they're fake, but because somewhere along the way they learned that authenticity was dangerous, that vulnerability cost too much, that being truly seen came with the risk of rejection. So they adapted. They became who the world needed them to be: confident, successful, unbothered, strong. But underneath all of it, there is still a man wondering if anyone would stay if they saw what's actually there. And maybe that is why we are the most connected generation in human history, and some of the loneliest men who have ever lived. So I want to ask you something, and I don't want you to answer quickly. When was the last time someone truly knew you? Not your work version, not the version that has learned how to survive, the uncertain you, the version that exists in the silence after everyone else has gone home. When was the last time that man was seen and not looked away from? If you can't remember, keep watching. Because a film made 25 years ago already explained exactly what happened to you. And it did it through a character almost everyone got completely wrong. His name was Cipher. Everyone remembers Neo, the chosen one, the man who woke up and fought back. But Cipher woke up too. He saw the truth. He felt the cold of the real world, the loneliness of it. And then he made a choice. He chose to go back into the simulation, back into the warmth of the lie. Sitting across from Agent Smith, eating a steak he knew wasn't real, he says something that should have stopped the world cold. I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, ignorance is bliss. Most people called him a traitor, a coward. I think he was exhausted, because the real world was cold, lonely, painful, and the simulation was warm. But here's what most people miss about Cipher. He wasn't choosing comfort over truth. He was choosing numbness over pain he no longer had the strength to feel. And that distinction matters, because that's not a villain's choice. That's a very human one. And I think modern life has quietly turned millions of men into Cipher. Not because they are lazy, not because they are shallow, but because emotional reality has become too painful to stay fully present inside of. So they retreat. into work, into distraction, into the endless scroll, into the comforting illusion of connection without the risk of being truly known. Some men scroll at 1 a.m. not because they're entertained, but because silence forces them to feel what they've been avoiding. Some bury themselves in achievement because success is measurable and intimacy is not. And this is where it gets darker. Because the system doesn't just allow this retreat. The world rewards the mask. It rewards performance. It rewards image. It punishes softness and calls discipline what is actually disconnection. So men don't just retreat into the simulation, they get promoted for it. And somewhere underneath all of that, the human heart is starving. Starving to be seen. Starving to stop performing. Starving to finally exhale. That is the Matrix.
Not technology, not screens. A system that slowly conditions men to trade presence for performance, truth for image, real connection for a steak that tastes perfect and leaves you empty. And if you want to understand why this hit men specifically, you have to understand what men were taught before any of this started. Men are taught from childhood that emotional needs are weakness, that vulnerability is dangerous, that needing connection somehow makes you less of a man. So men learn how to perform strength, how to provide, how to keep moving when everything inside them is screaming to stop, how to survive. But many never learn how to be known, and the cost of that is not abstract. Men sitting in rooms full of friends without saying anything real. Fathers physically present but mentally somewhere else entirely. Relationships collapsing under the weight of everything that was never said. Men carrying years of pain behind faces that look completely fine. And society calls this strength. But there is another word for it. Disconnection. The loneliest place on earth is inside a man who no longer feels safe being fully seen. And most of them will never say that out loud, because they've been taught that saying it is the very thing that makes them weak. So they stay inside the simulation, eating the steak, telling everyone it's delicious, slowly starving. I know this because I've been there. And what it actually looks like is nothing like what you'd expect. There are nights I sit in a room with the people I would die for, right there, breathing the same air, close enough to touch, and I am somewhere else entirely. Not distracted in any obvious way, just gone, locked somewhere between the debt and the pressure and the future I'm desperately trying to build. A man can physically stay in the room while emotionally disappearing from it. That is survival mode. That is what the simulation does when you stay inside it long enough. It doesn't just disconnect you from other people, it disconnects you from yourself. And the most dangerous part is that it feels like adulthood. It feels like responsibility. It feels like being a man. When really, it is just the slow erosion of presence. The world teaches men to constantly do, achieve, prove themselves. But very few men are ever taught how to simply be, how to stop abandoning themselves just to be accepted. And I think that is why so many men are quietly exhausted. Not from working too hard, from performing too long. So what is the Matrix, really? Not the movie answer, the honest one. A world so optimized for performance, so saturated with distraction, so rewarding of image and so punishing of honesty, that human beings eventually forget how to connect. Not forget the word, forget the feeling. And most men don't realize it's happening. They think emotional numbness is normal. They think the loneliness is independence. But something inside them keeps whispering that something is wrong. That ache, that quiet, persistent ache, that is not weakness. That is proof that something inside of you still remembers what it means to be human. The Matrix can imitate connection, but it cannot create intimacy. It can simulate attention, but not presence. And that is why the steak never nourishes. It tastes exactly like real, but it leaves you empty every time. So what does the way out actually require? Not a breakthrough, not a revelation, just one thing the simulation can never give you: risk. The risk of being honest when it costs you something. The risk of letting someone fully see you and not knowing whether they'll stay. That is why authentic connection is terrifying, and it is also exactly why it heals. Because the moment you stop performing and someone still chooses to remain, something inside of you begins to come back to life. Being known completely, honestly, and not abandoned. That is why authentic connection has become rare. And that is why, when you finally find it, it feels almost spiritual. A real conversation. Someone who sees the truth of you and doesn't flinch. That changes a man. And this is the part of the Matrix nobody talks about. Neo's power was never really about stopping bullets. There is a moment in the film when Neo is gone, when he flatlines, when every screen in the Nebuchadnezzar shows nothing. And Trinity leans in, and she doesn't calculate. She doesn't perform courage. She just speaks the truth, out loud, at full cost. And Neo comes back. That is not a coincidence in the story. His power was his refusal to become emotionally numb, inside a system designed to strip his humanity away. The Matrix tried to make him predictable, isolated, disconnected, and he resisted by staying connected to Morpheus, to Trinity, to purpose, to love, to God, to his own humanity. That was the real rebellion, not escaping the Matrix, refusing to become emotionally numb inside of it. And most men already know what that would cost them. They know the conversation they haven't had. They know the person they've been performing for. They know the version of themselves they buried so deeply they're not even sure it's still there. That knowing, that quiet, uncomfortable knowing, is not guilt. It is the part of you that hasn't given up yet. Neo didn't become the one by escaping. He became it by choosing, in the middle of the system designed to destroy him, to remain. And that choice is available to you, not in some dramatic moment, not in a revelation. Tonight, in an ordinary room, with an ordinary person who deserves the real you. And that is the real challenge modern men face, not leaving society, not running, staying fully human inside a world that constantly pressures you to become a performance instead. Here's what I've come to believe about healing. It doesn't begin when men get it right. It begins the moment they stop pretending. The moment a man finally says, "This is who I actually am. This is what I actually feel. This is where I actually hurt." And for the first time, stops running from it. That is where real life begins. Not in optimization, not in becoming more impressive, in becoming real again. Maybe that is the red pill nobody talks about. Not waking up from distraction, waking up to each other. The world will keep accelerating, the noise will keep growing, and in the middle of all of it, you will keep getting the same choice: comfort or connection, the steak or the truth. I know authenticity is terrifying. I know vulnerability feels like the most dangerous thing a man can choose. But the alternative is slowly disappearing from your own life while still technically living it. And I think you already know that. So I'll leave you with this. There will be a moment tonight or tomorrow when you are in a room with someone who matters to you.
and you will feel the pull. The familiar pull toward the easier, safer, emptier version of yourself. Don't take it. Stay in the room. Say the true thing. Because the most rebellious act left in this world is choosing to be fully human with someone else on purpose, one moment at a time. That quiet ache inside of you is not weakness. It is your humanity calling you back home. Listen to it.